So I want to give some encouraging words to special needs parents. And so number one, you are doing enough. Just in case you don't realize that, you are doing enough. I was a mom to a child who was shaken at 3 months old. She passed away at 3 years old, but during those 3 years of her life, she was very severely disabled. And I remember thinking, am I doing enough? As a licensed massage therapist, that was my job. But by the time I got home, I didn't feel like, massaging her all the time. I did sometimes. But I remember thinking to myself, I have this gift of being able to do massage. I should be massaging her all the time, just in case it helps her in some way. And, that was me not thinking that I'm doing enough. And so you're probably able to relate to that. And maybe you're in a situation where you're just wondering, am I doing enough for my child? There's always going to be more that you could do. Even as just a parent of a child who doesn't have special needs, there's always going to be more that we could be doing for our children. But I want you to know that you are doing enough, and I hope that you can rest in that, and for this not to be something that makes you feel any kind of guilt, like you're not doing enough, because you are, and I hope that you can rest in that. And so what you are feeling is okay. So there are a lot of times that you may feel depressed over your situation. You might feel angry about your situation. You might feel resentful. You may feel a lot of things. So for me, I remember feeling all kinds of different emotions. I was so thankful to have my daughter, still on earth with me. But at the same time, I was miserable a lot because of being a caregiver 24/7. You're never not thinking of your child. Everywhere you go, you can go out with your friends, you're still wondering, is she okay at home? Is the nurse doing okay? You're always, most likely always thinking about your child. And so there is no escaping the situation that you're in. And so it's okay to feel basically miserable. You don't have to feel any shame around feeling miserable that you are a caregiver. And, every time you look at your child, you may think, like you just can't stand to see them that way. And I know that when I would look at my daughter, I would have those feelings of, she shouldn't be this way. Why can't she just be healed? Why can't, she just live a normal, good, healthy life? And those feelings are all normal. To be angry about the situation, to feel okay about the situation. Maybe you're just feeling just fine about it. You feel like you have a lot of energy and joy. That's normal. Like, the way you're feeling is okay because it's your specific situation. No one can tell you how you should feel. No one is in your exact shoes to know how you feel. And so what you're feeling is okay. And I just want to validate that for you. Because unless you're doing something crazy, very destructive and harmful, then what you're feeling is okay. And don't let anyone shame you for it or make you feel like you're crazy, or, no one is in your shoes, so they can't tell you how to feel. And so you are doing hard work. I want to remind you of that. If you're feeling exhausted, or if you're feeling like you can't, you need to ask people for help a lot, and all of these things, you're doing really hard work. Being a caregiver first of all, of children anyway, is hard work. But especially a special needs child, you're doing some very hard work. And it's okay to ask for a break. It's okay to say that you are burnt out. It's okay to, seek out, therapy or whatever it may be for your mental health. And, just acknowledge yourself that you are doing some very tough work mentally and physically. And, especially if your child is older, it's very physical and it's very hard work. And so, cut yourself a break. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you work a full-time job and then you're also a caregiver, you're never off the clock. And so even if you're a stay-at-home caregiver and you don't, have to go to work, you are still working around the clock. And so I want you to cut yourself some slack and to give yourself grace, and to, not be afraid to ask for help, because you need a break. You most likely need a break right now. And so ask for help if you need it. And, the mundane tasks that you do, they matter. And I know that it can seem just daunting and agonizing every single day to get on the phone with insurance, especially. That's the worst. And to get on the phone with nursing care and to make sure that, home health has all the correct delivery items that you need. And, there's all of these different things that you are doing every single day that seems so mundane. But guess what? If you didn't do them, then they wouldn't get done and your child would suffer. And because of you being willing to do those mundane tasks every day, your child doesn't have to suffer from the lack of whatever it is that you're doing for them. And it's huge. Okay, think about how huge those mundane tasks are in God's eyes. He is the one who is, that you need to worry about the opinion of. You don't need to worry about the opinion of anyone else except God. And if someone is, making you feel bad or whatever, who cares about their opinion? What matters is God sees that you're doing those mundane tasks, and to Him that's a huge deal. And He celebrates you, and He is there with you, and He is, He thinks so highly of you for doing those mundane tasks. And so you should think highly of yourself. You should think, if you struggle with doing those mundane tasks and you're thinking, I can't stand this, I'm so burnt out, then I want you to just remind yourself that this matters, this matters, this matters. And that no one's going to realize how much it matters, most likely in your life. No one's going to realize how much that actually matters, what you're doing, unless you stopped doing it. But you're not going to, because you persevere and you keep on going and you make things happen, no matter how mundane it is. And so I just want you to remind yourself of that, because it can be easy to forget how much you actually are doing, because it just becomes mundane. And you deserve a break. So if you have the opportunity at all, ask for a break. If you go to church, if you have somebody that you feel like you can trust to come sit with your child, just ask. A lot of the times we're too afraid to ask for help, and we take a blessing from someone. It could be a huge blessing for someone to come sit with your child, or that them go to their house, or whatever the situation. It could be a huge blessing to them and to you, because you're getting a break and you don't even realize, because maybe you have a fear of asking for help or being rejected. So what if someone says, I'm sorry, I can't help you? Move on to the next person. And you deserve a break, and you deserve a lot of them, and not just a once a year type of thing. You ask for as many breaks as you need. And so I just wanted to remind you of that, because I know it can be easy to forget. You deserve a break. And so right now you should probably go ahead and get your phone and text someone and ask, hey, could you help me out on this day? And someone out there will be willing to do that for you. And so another thing is, those decisions that you have to make, they don't go unnoticed. So I know from my experience, you make very difficult decisions, and sometimes those could change your entire life, your child's entire life. And I know it can be heavy on you to have to make decisions like that. And it's sometimes the decisions you have to make every day. Sometimes it only comes around whenever your child is sick in the hospital, things like that. But those decisions that you make can bear a lot of weight. And I just want you to know that you are seen. I can feel for you for having to make decisions that you should never have to make, and that parents should never have to make for children, but you have to. And so I just want you to know that you are noticed in that, and that you're doing an amazing job making those decisions. And one thing that I always did before making those decisions is spend a lot of time in prayer. And you don't always have that option if you have to make one real quick, but it required from me a lot of prayer and a lot of trying to discern what God was saying about the situation to be able to make a decision. And then, so just give yourself some grace and forgiveness. Maybe you made a bad decision. Maybe you have had thoughts that you regret having. Maybe, whatever it is, give yourself some grace and some forgiveness, because you're going to make mistakes. A normal parent makes mistakes of healthy children. So of course we're going to make mistakes as special needs parents who are just really trying to just figure things out, and there is no rule book. There is no, nothing that you can just follow and have all the answers to. And so we do have to give ourselves forgiveness sometimes, and especially grace, a lot of grace, because you're carrying a heavy load. And so allow yourself grace and forgiveness. And then don't compare yourself to other parents. Gosh, that's like one of the worst things you can do, because just because someone, in their book of life, it seems that they are way ahead in this book, that they're on chapter 30, where everything is great and they are financially secure and they have all these, healthy, beautiful, all of these, children and everything going well in their family. Okay. And then you look at your life and you're like, well, this situation has drained my finances. It feels like I'm repeating the same chapter over and over again. It feels like I'm never going to get to the next chapter of life. And maybe you're feeling like, your family is nothing like that family that you're looking at on social media. Because, first of all, it can't be. Because it's not the same. And no two families are the same. And so, be careful with who you're watching on social media. Be careful with who you compare yourself to. Really shouldn't be comparing yourself to anyone, but especially other families who, even if they have special needs kids and you're looking at them like, wow, they have it all together. They are so organized. They somehow have their house clean. They're doing so well financially. Well, you don't know the inside struggles. And most people aren't going to go on social media and just show all their struggles all the time. And so be careful and don't compare yourself to other families. And then just a reminder to soak in the present moment. So it can be really easy to get in a position where you're always just looking for the next day, trying to get today over with. And you miss the blessings of today. And so don't be tempted, or don't allow yourself to fall into the temptation of tomorrow, or when my child isn't like this anymore, or once my child passes away, I can actually live life. Because it can feel that way, especially if your child has a diagnosis of, well, they might live a few years or something like that. Like my child had the diagnosis of she'll probably pass away due to an infection or something like that, and she won't live a long life. And so it can get easy to get stuck in that, well, I'll be able to live life once my child isn't here. And that can sound terrible to some people, but it is the truth. Whenever you are a full-time caregiver of your child and you have to be at home all the time, you can't really take them anywhere, things like that. It feels like you're trapped at home all the time. It can be easy to just miss the blessing of today and always live in tomorrow. So I just want to remind you to focus on this present moment and what you do have and what you can do and the family that you have and your child, and fully soak in that moment. Because now that my child has passed away, she passed away almost 3 years ago now, I would love to just sit there in her room and soak up the moment with her. And so that might be you one day, where you're looking back and thinking, man, I wasted a lot of those days wishing them away. So just soak in this present moment. And another reminder that I want to give is that your gut is almost always right. So if you think something's going on with your child and you just have this gut feeling, then push those doctors to look into it. Because there's a time that I knew something was going on with my daughter's health, and I called the doctor, explained. They're like, oh, it's fine, wait until Monday you can bring her in, and we'll, because this was a Saturday, so doctor's offices were closed. They're like, wait till Monday, we'll look at her then. And I just knew something was wrong. I was like, no, something is wrong with her. She needs to be seen before Monday. So I take her in. The ER is even saying nothing is wrong. We've done an x-ray of her stomach, things like that. There's nothing wrong with her. Well, a few hours later, they admitted her because it kind of pushed them to admit her and to watch her. They admitted her and then come rushing in the room saying her blood work came back and she was in kidney failure and all these things, and they needed to take her for a CT scan immediately. And when they did, they realized that her intestines were so swollen on the inside that she was about to die. She was literally about to drown herself because of the swelling. And so my gut was correct. And if I had waited, I would have just held her at my house until she died. And so, a very painful death too. So listen to your gut. It's usually right. It's usually going to be, your gut can usually tell something is going on even when a CT scan, x-ray doctor can't tell. So, but because you know your child. You're with them every single day and you're the only one who is with your child all the time like that. So listen to your gut. So anyways, I hope that this was encouraging to you. I know as a special needs parent, these are just things that seem so simple, but you need to hear them constantly. And words of affirmation can go a long way. So I look forward to seeing you on my next video.